Manhood, brought to you in part by Solomon's Bespoke.
This is Manhood. Thank you for joining us once again. And by now, we reached over 90 plenty episodes. So we're nearing that 100, which is definitely an achievement for what Manhood started off and now where we're at. So thank you for always being with us and taking the time to listen to what we have to say, as we always aim to be better as brothers. Today's topic, can you be controlled? So I'm going to go right into it. To my right, Johan Seaudike, behavior change consultant. To his right, Jordan, influencer. If you don't know him, you'll know him for sure by the end of this episode. And to his right, Davy Marie, freedom host, entertainer. I mean, Davy has so many titles. We could just say Davy for now, right? So let's go straight into it. Can you be controlled? We had a lot of conversation before we even started this recording to come to this understanding of what the topic is. Just a condensed version of what we are thinking, with so many other areas to be discussed, some of which will be discussed in this episode. So let's unravel. Let's get granular.
Well, let's start with maybe a working definition for what control is, without looking in the dictionary, right? Control is.
You sure you didn't look in the dictionary? I'll just ask.
I didn't see no dictionary pull out.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Control is getting somebody to do something they may not want to do. Let me start with that at a base. What's all your thoughts on that?
I agree with it. I would also add that control is giving somebody the power to influence the way you think or feel or act. So whether you think a certain thing or whether somebody has the ability to make you feel a certain thing, they would have control over you. So I would add in that is also what control would mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to elaborate a bit, is a desired for a desired outcome. I want to get paid. So in this environment, I'm controlled by my employers to do this. Had I had my own time, I probably wouldn't be doing this. So that's a form of control. That's how I see it. Because I want a desired result, I submit myself to under the control of whatever that desired result I'm looking for.
I like that, Davey. Desire. Because I think that is important, because then you're not really being controlled. It's more like you're bartering. I'm giving something for something. So I don't want to sit down all day and write, but I want money. So I am submitting, as you say, submitting
to the control of my desire.
Submitting to the thing because I want something. So, and therefore, it's not really that you're not in control of yourself, but you're putting yourself through something because you want something.
So again, until we have the dictionary meaning, it's one of those things, when we use the word humility and so many other things, and you have it bandied about so many times. Even that word compromise is seen in a negative light. So control, if you say, I want to control you, and it's against your will, then you can be seen in a negative light. But if somebody wants a situation to be controlled, that they can activate in or work in, as you mentioned, or even in a relationship where there's certain things like, let me take control of this particular situation, then those areas are not necessarily a negative. It's a positive, but I know you have a definition for it.
The ability to direct, influence, or regulate something.
So therefore, there's not a negative or a positive. It's perception. Right? It's perception and in the moment and how it's received. What we're really trying to get to today is we talk about, can you be controlled, and specifically from women?
Yeah, you can.
Definitely. I would say so. Because I would say that men especially, we grew up, especially most men, when you grew up, you're taught certain values, certain morals, and how to treat women and how to be towards women. And from a young age, we kind of instilled that you have to do this for a woman, you have to be this way for a woman. So we might, even if we didn't know it or we weren't aware of it, ever since we were small, we were grown to be controlled by women with certain things and the way they view us and the way, we treat them. And I feel like that is something as well, that men grew up certain ways, being taught certain things about women, but the opposite does happen less, like women being taught how to be towards men. I feel like it's mainly, men towards women and how we should be towards them and thing. And ever since you were small, um, you're put in a mental state where you have to be this way towards a woman. So I would say that ever since you were small, you always grew up and were being leaned towards allowing them to control how you act, how you think, and how you feel.
But are we? I know we said, can you be controlled? Is that something you're allowing based on? Sometimes they say it's better sometimes to be silent, or sometimes to remove yourself from a situation before you actually activate any situation. So in other words, is it that a man is being controlled by a woman against his will, or is it that he's being measured in his approach for a better outcome? You always hear happy wife, happy life. Say,
Which
for
is
example,
nonsense.
right?
I do subscribe to that.
Agreed. In
Yeah,
many
I don't
ways,
have time for that.
I mean, I definitely want my wife to be happy, but to say that once she's happy, then everything else is okay.
It's subjective.
Is again
Yeah.
because it might be that you're being controlled. It might be that the happiness comes as a result or at the expense of your unhappiness. So there are many things around that. So it's a term I do agree with you, Davey, that I've not really liked, but I do understand where it might have come from.
Well,
But
let me change the word control to conditioning, right? And that's what you were talking about.
I think so.
We are conditioned, all of us, whether it is towards women, men, religion, wherever it is, we are conditioned in a specific manner, right? And it's ironic that we're speaking about this now, and a few men who didn't have conversation asked me about this week. One man told me, he said, I think I understand why a lot of men, and Trinbagonian men we're speaking about, he said it could be controlled by women or get chained up by women. He said he looked at it as from slavery, right?
Wow.
And this is his
Going back.
his hypothesis is that that the mother was the primary caregiver during the time of slavery, right? And I'm talking about the African aspect of slavery here in the Caribbean. And she told her son what to do and how to act because his life could depend on it, right? So so listen to your mother, listen to your mother, listen to your mother, right? And then he learned to not be disapproved by his mother. And if I say not to, because if you think about it, most of us who grew up even in a two-parent household, we don't want to see the disapproving face of a woman. So from the time a woman's face look like she's not happy, sometimes you activate and I don't want this because I don't want to make my mother upset.
So is that something inherited through generations? We just pass on this, what I don't want to call it a curse, but this thing about wanting the approval of a woman.
Yes, that's something that was conditioned into us, especially the Caribbean male, because I could give the comparison because in some of the sessions I have, especially couples counseling, I have Trini men with foreign women. And their approach to it, I remember I had a couple, there's a Trini man and a German woman. And she was like, why Trinidadian men so soft? Why Trinidadian men just beat around the bush? Just tell me what you want. Right? And she says, so what if I'm not happy? That's just how it is. If you tell me what to do, I do it that way. Right? And he was taken aback, but she was serious. That is her culture and how they were conditioned. Right? So even though this man, his intent was to treat her well, right? His intent, taking care of her, he was financially well off. She didn't understand why he was like this. And it had me thinking why even we sometimes afraid. And I mentioned it already on this show is that I had a guy, he's a CEO of a company. This man hire people, handle millions of dollars. But
Call names.
Nah, boy, don't do that.
but he say, yo, and he embarrasses. He say he was embarrassed to tell me. He say, as soon as my wife say, I want to talk to you later. He said anxiety.
Yes, boy.
Yeah.
Right now, this man bigger. He could, if physically, he could destroy his wife. But from the time, and when we explored into that, it was roots from his grandmother to his mother and how they socialized him to deal with women.
But I'll also tell you mentioned just now about the mother telling you what to do and you don't want to disappoint. And you mentioned about the look on her face. I also recall not wanting to disappoint my mother because and it's not necessarily disappoint, you want to be obedient to your mother because your father will come with a bellas, or a belt or something, why not listening to your mother? So that's also from a Caribbean household. Things have changed now more so in Gen Z. You don't see that kind of licks and cuts and all that passing as before. But definitely what I'd be interested to hear as we're talking about women and can you be controlled, your brethrens, the men around as well are also egging you on or throwing, people say a lot of times like my bucket don't hold our water. And when you go, how you taking all that chain from your woman, boy, or how you being a man, and all of these terminologies. So men, I think, are also complicit and culprits of causing what might be just a understanding or a good relationship or respectful relationship, and making it out now because of men's old, archaic, cocky.
I not even going down that road with that. I just thinking if we don't even
Whether
understand.
you go down the road or not,
No,
I go down that road. I done driving down that road
but
already,
what I'm
so I
saying,
want to see.
we talk it. All right, nobody goes to a plumber to fix an electrical problem. Nobody. You go in by the mechanic to go to take out a tooth. Right. So if we sit down in a space and we don't understand, we being controlled as well. And my brethren come to tell me, you auntie come and say, boy, and we decide to pick on him. It's because maybe he's in a space talking to people who don't even understand it neither.
Perfect.
We don't understand it either. So I don't want to knock my brethren down and say, well, pal, it's your fault, you bullying me into this, when you yourself don't even understand it.
No.
So we go into people who can't help us.
No, Davey, I haven't finished read the book yet, but there's a book named The Manipulated Man. I think the author is Esther V. I could be wrong, but the name of the book is The Manipulated Man. And the theory behind it was a woman write the book. And the theory behind what she said was that men was never in control of the world, that women are always in control, right? And that they conditioned us to believe that we were in control.
Well, Eve made Adam eat the apple,
Right. Well, no. She didn't make him do anything.
She presented.
She presented, hey, you want some of this? I just say.
So the desire. So here,
Desire,
the desire we have. So what I believe, and even in my own personal life, I realize the desire to want something, whether it is from woman, a business deal, wherever it is. Me men have to decide what we're willing to give for it, what we're willing to sacrifice for it. And what I realize, many men, especially Trinidad men, we just give everything for it. So you have men say, I will brush anything, right? Once I gain it, I will take it, right? So therefore, you don't really have any standard. So I asked him, I said, how would you rate yourself? This same gentleman who said that, he said he rate himself, he say 11 out of 10. I say, all right. And so I said, that means you go hit something 2 out of 10? Yeah, if I gain it. Now,
so is it then, because I'm still driving on the road about misogyny, right? Because I know you stopped me and I pumped my brakes for a little bit, but I'm still mashing gas here now. As we talk about misogyny and your brothers, or maybe not your brothers, but your companions, your colleagues, leading you down a road to make you feel as if you're being controlled when really you just have a healthy relationship, right? And like you quite rightly point out, which I like, is that if they're in a position of maybe they themselves in an unhappy relationship, or people who are getting divorced giving you advice, they're not in a position, they can't give what they don't have. So I wanted to address that as to, are you really being controlled? And in this case, are you really being controlled, based on what you just pointed out, by your woman, or is it just women? In terms of men are simple creatures, and as long as they want to, according to you, hit anything, and we're not talking about violence here, we're talking about having sex, that whether you're 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, whatever the case may be, is the proverbial power of the P that is really controlling you, rather than a specific person. What's your thoughts?
Well, I'm going back with desire, right?
Yeah, desire.
Is that every man watching should know
desires.
what he wants. So we're going from sex, we're going from money, we're going from success.
Respect, safety, all these.
So we have to know what we want. And if we know what we want, we have to know what we're willing to give.
Yeah, but why is it, right, that if for you to get that peace or that sex in your house, because women barter sex with you to control. Now, again, desire here is the governing word, right? Because we have a desire to want to get that flesh in the night or that intimacy, we tend to give in to things that even we don't agree with it 100, we just go along because the objective is to keep that woman happy, boy.
And why is that? Why
Because
would
of
go
the
along-
because
why
if
would
we
go along
don't
with
keep her
things?
happy, then we don't get the flesh.
You also, I hear somebody say this before, that a relationship only works when the woman is happy. I hear somebody say that. Like
That's the
a
happy
man,
wife, happy life
yeah,
scenario.
like a man would be unhappy. A man would, be feeling whatever he feeling, but as long as his woman happy, the relationship will work. And as soon as that woman get unhappy, no matter how unhappy that man is for how many years, but as soon as that woman get unhappy or unsatisfied with the relationship, it will fall apart. She
And
will
that
leave.
is mental control.
Let's look at that, right? So even if you're looking at with men, it always has to come down to sex, right?
But that's the bottom
So
line.
so if you are like you said, you're looking to get quote unquote peace at the end of the night, and not peace P-E-A-C-E, peace as in P-I-E-C-E.
Well, both actually.
And the control is you are saying your words that the woman is controlling you by louding that over your head to say, okay, well, if you behave a particular way, you will get this. You or yourself are also taking control of another situation because she's with you because of what you're bringing to the table. So you're also using that to control the environment to get it. So to me, it's symbiotic. There's control
Like a
on.
two-way.
It's two-way. There's control. Hang on. There's control on both sides. And when you come to that understanding, it's always like, you see these memes sometimes where you have, and Johansi alluded to it just now, where you have, say, a big guy or a guy that mightn't be the best looking person. I mean, horses for courses, right? And then you see him with a top model, and you say, wow, every bread has its cheese, so to speak. She is getting what she sees herself as, like what she desires, and vice versa. So who's really controlling who?
No, I think we should control ourselves and go to a break before we answer that and pick up.
I like that.
This is manhood, and we're discussing, can you be controlled? And Robert, you was making a point before you go to the break there about, it seems like you're saying everybody controlling everybody, because I want something from you, you want something from me. Now that word, what you're using there is actually transaction, And I'm glad you bring that up, because that's a word we're afraid to talk about in relationships. A relationship being transactional. That word is demonized, but it's the truth, because I gain something from you, you gain something from me. Whether we are friends, forget romantic, you and your brethren. The fact is, you speak to him and you lime around him because you just get something from him, and he liming around you because he get something from you. So similarly, when two people get married, you want something from your wife, You want something and you imagine all these things, and then she imagine all these things from you. So then why be afraid of it? Something for something. But no, relationship not supposed to be so. But that's what all relationships are. But most relationships.
But here where the control comes in. Because we looking at individuals and saying, this one is controlling me, whether it be the woman is, as men like to say, and you see it, we were discussing this in boys' conversation, you're letting that woman control you, boy. And in your head, you are feeling, but how are you letting her control me? I say, man, I am the alpha. I am the this. I can't be controlled. And you have a negative towards it when it, like you said, it's transactional. But guess who's really controlling the situation? Is the people you're letting in your head who are telling you that, are trying to control their friend in the environment. Because that is where it then becomes a negative.
Not necessarily, because even when they control you, right? Even if I tell Ayodike something and he goes home, one of the things I just always remember, I not going to lie down next to you, pal. So I not going to tell you, look, pack up your thing and lead a woman, So when you reach back in your situation, pal, you still be in control.
That's not a every time situation, because they have many people who are led by their friends. That's where that saying comes from.
And
You
why
can
is
need a
that?
horse to,
Why is that? Because that
because
see
you
what-
need to fit in. You need to
I feel
feel
like
your
it's
part.
also like a power dynamic as well. Like the man wants to have more power and he wants to seem strong. So like that is why they would let their friends control them. So like he was saying, if you go to your friend and you say, hey, you know this, and your friend tell you, well, you letting that woman control you, think, you would in yourself like you would feel a sense of like,
A little
I had to
emasculated.
step up a kind
Yeah.
of way, like I can't be letting she, walk over me or whatever, and then you will go back into the relationship with that mindset, So it's definitely like a power dynamic, and you
And
want
your
to have
boys.
more power.
You
And
see
your
what,
boys.
You see what he raised there? There's a theorist that says sex is never about sex. That sex is about power. Right? And the theory behind it, at least my understanding, and we could discuss that, is, and I asked men this many times, why? I want to have sex. Why? You see a woman, I want to brush that. Why? Right? Well, she just look good, right? But that is not all. If I start to dig deep, because we could have a show about this, about attraction, what really attraction is, because attraction is desire. I see something, and I want
You're attracted to it.
wherever I imagine it, because it starts with imagination. So it could be that this woman real sweet, and I imagine that if I have sex with her, it means that I worth something, or people see me with her, right? That means I would be viewed a certain way. I look at her as like we say, a beautiful woman everybody want, but I get through now. So it means if you understand where I'm coming from, that we say sometimes it's sex we want, and we always come back down to sex with men, but sex from each man is a different thing at a different time. So understanding that part is important.
Life is. I saw it one. I wish I could remember the full script, but it was basically life is like color, and what it was explaining is, so color is only based on light, right? Because if everything was to darkness, or the difference in the light that's in the room is how you would perceive, how you would see color. It's the same thing like life. To a human, as you said, a woman wanting a six-pack, wanting a nice house, all of these different things. If I told you, hey, have all you want in a particular house, all the luxury you want, but I put you in the desert where nobody could see it, would it matter to you at that point?
For some people, no.
For a lot of people, because the whole reason you want this nice Lamborghini or this type of car and all these different
For
things
people to see you.
is for other people to see you. And
Desire.
that's what it is, to be able to look and for you to feel, hey, you know what?
I'm worth.
I'm worth something. But my worth is dependent upon other persons.
And that is the part. And that is the crux of what we get into why it could be controlled. Because if you don't know your self, right? Anybody could do anything to you. And that is where a lot of us men fall down. Because we don't know what we're standing up on. We're not standing up on much. Right? So then anybody could see, because I speak to women. I remember this time I went, this wasn't in Trinidad, it's in the university, so it's a group, males and females. And I remember females from the US and some other countries, and they were just watching men and say, hey, I could get he's a, I use in Trini words, he's a thirst man. Right? He look like he can get plenty. All right? He can get sex, and you could look and see it on you now. So hey, I could get a drink from me. I could get a drink from me. I could get money from me. Right? And then just like we could look to, we could look and see a woman, hey, I feel she self-esteem not too high, I could get through that. I feel she loose. I could get through that. People size up people all the time. But the key is, and none of us perfect, so all of us have strengths and weaknesses. But if you are not aware of your weaknesses, you will always get catch.
I take in your point, and I want to find out, because we could speak from millennials' perspectives. We have a Gen Z. Jordan, you have, who has a pretty impressive following. How do your generation, or how do you see it in terms of the conversations that you have? So can you be controlled? Do you see it as relationships now should be 50-50? Is it that you all subscribe or ascribe to the same upbringing that we would have had with regards to men are the providers and women are nurturers, and especially now that in households it's not a case of women are earning more than men in many cases.
So basically, is it that the Gen Z have a comfort zone that my girl or my woman making more money than me? I cool with that.
Okay, so my thoughts on it, right? So, in my opinion, I would say that, well, for me, I would say that I believe in a system where we working together, where I put in something, you also put something. Imagine like a jar, and like maybe there's some days I only able to fill it to 25%, and that those days you could fill up the other 75, and there's days where I could put 75, you could only put 25, days where both of us put 50. But there's always a way that we could both put towards it, and is always like a team effort, not just me doing everything or you doing everything. It's always both of us helping towards it. And the point that I bring up with how the woman making more than you and thing, I feel like that is also another dynamic that men look at and like they would scorn you for it. So like if, let me say you're married to a woman or something, right? And you working a job, she also working a job, but she earning more than you. That is a topic that men would most men would like keep to themselves. Like they wouldn't tell people that my woman earning more than me, because they feel like it would be like shame, or like they would look down on you, like why a woman, like
So
you
is that
supposed
something
to be.
happening now in the Gen Zs? Is that something you experience?
I would say so, because like, let me say now
Are we
in
proud?
my generation,
Me
in
too.
my generation, if you were to take a woman on a date and she pay for stuff, like let me say she pay for more things than you, and you were to tell your virgin, bro, I take this girl, or I went out with this girl, and she was like, no man, the most of the things and them kind of thing, like they would be like, why she do that for,
What?
and they would kind of scorn you for it.
So,
and
so,
they
so in
would-
other words,
that going on now?
In
Yeah.
other words, it still exists then, and it's being passed from generation to generation, where the man is still viewed
Expected to
and
do
expected
more,
to do that. So it is not being broken. So again, we come back down to the topic, which is, can you be controlled? And the outlook of it seems that in the same way this equality is being viewed, and it's not necessarily by a woman viewing a man like that. It's your own brethrens, your own
So,
community, your
yeah.
own circle
Well-
are also the one are culpable of the way it is going forward, where you are feeling that a woman earning more than you, a woman paying for something, all that somehow is making you less than, and therefore, which is where the topic comes in about the control. So a woman having a healthy relationship is also viewed by the same community, which is predominantly male in an environment, that somehow when you do something for your wife, for your girlfriend, for your partner, whoever the case may be, that is somehow you're being controlled, as opposed to we have a good transaction happening here.
Now, well, with me, man, I telling all you. I mean, I out here a little minute now, and if I had a circle I used to roll in, and if the girl buy something for you and you get through. It's not no, but you emasculating you. You's a little boy, or you can't buy your own thing. She buy that for your boy. That is the vibe. We have no problem with that. So I shocked to know that, that's what happening now. That if
No, you don't want to be a louse or a leecher. You
well-
don't want to say, hey, this woman minding me and I'm not doing anything.
But
and
in some circles that
That is what
celebrated.
happened.
Yeah, and that is, and like, okay, so let me say like how he's saying some circles that happening. Like, what's your thoughts on a man being, I don't know how to word it, but like a house husband? So like the woman bringing in the income and the
Mr.
man,
Mom?
transactional.
Like, what you think? What you think about
I
that?
can start to answer that. I could get that's a transaction. Again, is what I bring into the table. So while I'm a house husband and you handling me, maybe a nice car, clothing, be going on vacation dinners, or whatever it is, I doing stuff in the house. It's not that I just sitting on whole day. So I'm actually, when you come home from work, I would learn to cook then. So as a house husband, you can send me on a cooking course. I learning to chef a meal. So I doing things to help you to succeed in the world of work. That's how I see it. So even if you want to say, boy, that man is a real louse boy, he girl doing everything. No, pal. Your auntie said it. It's transactional.
But
So-
it could also be seen as, again, depends on who you're associating with or aligning with. Could say, look how she's controlling you. But it is not a control. It is a healthy transaction. you are the breadwinner or your job requires this at this point, it makes sense for me, at this point, my 25% in the jar is to do what I can in the house, to whether it be take care of the children, look after this. That might be assisting her to move her needle further for the benefit of the entire family.
Permit me to say this, right? Just in the spirit of we talking control, what could happen and could be perceived by your friends if you want to make her turn on Friday night, and she like, nah, you can't move tonight, right? I want you home, stay home tonight, and you rock back and decide, I go rock back and stay home, and then the next Friday or 2 Fridays down the road is the same thing happening. You can't really pump. Your brethren, I'm gonna let you know, well, that woman controlling you, because they know she is earning higher. Now, if the tables are turned again, where you are the higher earner in the house, and people go through that, you still can't move as you want to, and they will still get your talk. But that one controlling you, or you not the man, or you making your money, dog, you can't leave, and it happens all the time.
But Davey, who then control? Who then controlling who you answer? Because you might just simply say, "Hey, your woman ask you to stay home," and you just like, you know what? I prefer to stay with her right now. She worked hard all week. I haven't seen her. I want to stay home. And you make that decision, but your brethren, your community.
A nice polished way to look at it.
Your community. No, but I'm not saying that she's not trying to control you, because she might not want you going out with your boys, right? But I'm saying to you, but it's not always that is the situation. You may have made a decision to stay home, but to your boys again, they are the ones that are trying to control you by throwing that kind of
shade on you
and saying, well, how you letting that woman do this? But you letting her, but you supposed to come out and line with your boys to take one drink, chain up to come out because they want you in their circle.
Right. So therefore, everybody trying to control everybody else. And that's why I said before, all of us men, and I speaking, but I'm not perfect at it either. I also understanding myself better. Every man had to know himself. Because to know what you really want, you will hear voices, you will see voices on social media, your brethren will talk all kind of thing.
Memes.
People, or you can get all these voices, your wife, your girlfriend, your mother, whoever it is, all these voices. At the end of the day, here what the strength is. The strength is you really knowing what you want to know. And I'll give you an example quick. I remember it had this guy, his wife was some big exec, right? And he was for more or less a house husband, like what you all was talking about. And I remember people used to always look down on his man, she thing, and he taking care of the children. And I remember once she was having a conversation and she was saying, I just do whatever he wants to know. You can't get he to do anything you do want him to do, She say, you watch it, he taking care of the children. That man, he powerful. This she talking about him, She say, all the money, I can't get him to do whatever I want to know. But he never come out and had to defend himself or anything like that. It's a matter of perspective. So he knew who he was, she knew who he was, and they operate in that. The issue is many of us men, why we get controlled or chain up, is we don't know who we are. We're not standing up for something, whatever that something is.
I don't fully agree with that, but we have to take a break. But I want to come back and talk about that point, because it's not just from a perspective of man being weak. There are times where men, and I've had those conversations where men recognize that their partners are coming from a place of trauma or traumatic experience, and therefore in order to manage that situation, they yield.
We'll talk about that.
We're taking a short break.
This is manhood topic. Can you be controlled? So, Robert, a point that I want to bring up as well, when you're talking about power and control and stuff like that. So, I would say also that money or finances bring power, and power brings control. So, when we're speaking about, who earns more, whether I be the man, whether I be the woman, whoever the case is, and we look at that in a power dynamic or a control dynamic. Like we say the man earns more than the woman, the man bringing in more. The man would think, okay, I higher than she because I earning more. I able to tell she what to do. I able to do this. Whether she be a housewife or maybe she working but she earning less, the man would feel like I entitled to more. And on the flip side, if the woman earning more and the man is like a stay-at-home husband, because the woman earning more, she would feel like like you were speaking about earlier, hey, don't go nowhere Friday because I tell you that I bring in the money. I is the head of the house, you know. So that would bring up the point that, you know, money brings power, power brings control. And that is something that I think is a big thing, especially in this society, with how we moving away from the traditional way of women just being at home and man bringing in everything. And now since it's starting to flip a lot in certain households, with women being the main breadwinner in some households and the man being, you know, the stay at home, it brings in that power dynamic just because she's simply earning more and would have more control over what's going on in the household, that she could control him more and it would bring
What
in
about
that
if
power dynamic.
what about if both earning, both have money? You know, there's that saying, two man crab can't live in the same hole. So if both of you, it depends, and again I want to come back to the point, Jordan, where we were talking about men also yielding for the fact that they may be very aware though of their wife or partner having gone through a traumatic experience. And a lot of times when we talk about trauma, we see women in toxic masculinity. And that's because they're in levels of survivorship at that point because of maybe the absence of a father. It might be something that happened in their life. They may have had a toxic relationship prior to that. And especially when women have children, they go into survivorship and strength in terms of if they see you as less than, or they see, whether it be subconscious or consciously, not being a provider, they become that. And as a result, we've had this conversation on many an episode. And in that case, if a man is recognizing and saying to himself that, whether it's fully understanding or just assumption, that my woman is in pain or going through a period of hurt, based on how she may react. You might tell her something, one snap, and she starts to cry, or trips off the handle. And you go, listen, you know what? I don't want that. I want PEACE, and therefore you yield for that.
Right. So with that, what you're saying there now, that could liken to a person who cheated. So I could be very frank in situations where I was the aggressor. I was the one who caused the problem, who started the problem in the first place. And when that happened now, what you find tend to do, because you feel guilty of what you did, what happened, you caused this woman who probably was real good, you caused this woman to fall, you caused this now, you start yielding. Because you even though the circumstance now is nothing compared to 15 years ago or even 10 years ago, that PTSD, that trauma lives on. And I had conversations with Yohansi privately as we discussed certain matters. And what I learned, even with speaking to my another therapist over in Jamaica, is that I needed to start understanding me. I had to understand how far back this thing going on, Jordan. Real talk. So I went back to 9 years when I was first exposed to pornography on VH1 and VHS cassette recording and thing. Your parents hide it and you find it. And then it goes back to now where...
Well, my parents didn't have that, but I know what you mean. I got
Right.
it from school.
Well,
For research purposes only.
You're fortunate. But the thing is, so you start to understand the trauma that you go through over the years. And then you come into a relationship now and you cause a problem. And then this woman starts to, what it appears to be a control over your life. But is it really a control? Or is that the fact that your desire is what is controlling you? And that is my wrap up, the desire.
David, this is a real, I wish we, to extend this even longer, but you see what he just said there, Yohansi, about that, the trauma that you have experienced as a result of something that you have done and caused trauma to someone else.
Yeah.
A lot of times the woman, even though it might be perceived that she is now controlling you, and to the outside, people might not even know why. The other thing to that is that she may not even ask you to stay home, because you are now living in a position as a cycle where she doesn't even have to try to control you. You are controlling or not controlling a particular situation, because you may determine at that point, I'm not going out on a Friday. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing anything that might allow her or lead to or to feel a certain way. She didn't ask you to do anything different, But because you know you're wrong and you did something wrong,
The
so
guilt.
the guilt.
The guilt.
The guilt is what is now controlling you.
And while I want to agree with you at least 65%, the other 35 can also come down to when will it end? Because we have a tendency to like to win. That's humans. We like to win. We like to feel we win. And there's something I used to always say, fellas, already don't take this. I'm going to say something here. And ladies, I mean, this is just human nature, right? I always endorse and subject to play to lose. Because I want this to done. But if I act a particular way, you and see will get vexed and he will terminate. You see this? I don't want no part. No, I didn't exit. You did. I gone. I might come and say, let me talk to you now. Nah, I gone my way. So we just reach a stage where, when will it end? So the fact that she's now recognizing that your guilt, and this is from personal experience, where you feel guilty to certain things, you start yielding or subjecting yourself. She started to take it now, boy. Now, she didn't tell you to go out no way.
No,
Or she might ask you.
to take it.
Right. Now, then
It's
why
a
do you take
choice.
it? Because the desire is to repair, rebuild. And then when you look at maybe the woman or the person, whoever you cause the pain to, you realize, wait, boy, they start to play that guilt on you. So they may have had their trauma too, but they're not letting go. So because of the fact that it doesn't end, nobody's letting go. Whether it's a man or a woman, it could be a man too, she on me and she trying she best right now. I realize that what she doing, I using that, but I ain't saying nothing, So everybody watching, but she ain't telling nothing and you just holding it down. I remember my partner tell me a time why, and this is me coming, trying to fix something, trauma I caused. And he say, I realize with you, it's not that you can't come out alignment, You choose not to. And this is fact. He said, you choose not to. And I started to slowly
But
see.
are you telling your boys that, or are you allowing them? It is easier to allow them to see it or to believe that is a woman, because men like that props to her. Like if you to say, hey boy,
But why?
No, well,
Why? And I like what Davy going, Davy brought in desire.
that's it.
Right? He brought in wanting to win, right? And for me, it comes down, and then we talk about transaction, right? What it for me, and we could, we are sometime. It comes down to satisfaction. All of us, and I think I could speak for everybody in the world, right? All of us want to feel satisfied. So when we win, we feel satisfied. When we have power over something, which is winning, we feel satisfied. When I have a transaction, the transaction, I have a desire, giving something to get something. When I get a thing, I am satisfied. Now, I'm putting it that way because sometimes we are ashamed of our own desires. We are not strong enough. And before I said weak, right? And somebody challenged me on the weakness. But so it's a small diversion, but I'm coming back. Cheating, right? Whether it's a man or woman do it, depending on the circumstances. But let me say most cases with men I've encountered, and even in my own life, cheating is a form of weakness. Now, I'm saying having more than one woman is a form of weakness. Having 10 women, cheating meaning that you sneak, you go behind the person back because you wasn't okay with your own desires to voice it. Now, I'm not saying that's an easy thing. I'm not saying I do it in all circumstances, but it's a form of weakness when we can't stand up on what we want. So let me come out of cheating. You're buying food, and the person gave you a small piece of chicken, or they gave you less than a small portion. If you say exactly what you want in that moment, that is weakness. Because I don't want to cause anything, but you're accepting something that will not fulfill you. You will not be satisfied with this food. You will not be satisfied. You're in a relationship with somebody. Most times, cheating is because I am not satisfied. I'm not getting something, whatever the thing is. Now, you don't have to be sex, It could be a conversation. It could be encouragement. It could be whatever thing that you are not being satisfied with. And we men in general, we don't stand up for what we satisfy. Women do it, and women tell you, I want this to be satisfied. And here we men say, I go take anything, but that is not the truth. We just say that, But that is not the truth, no. Because when you don't get what you want,
The women seeing it amongst themselves. They're not saying it to their man, because there are many times women will tell you, even if you start to bring up things like faking an orgasm, or in other areas where they have not communicated to you specifically what they want. I mean, you always hear the conversation where women believe that men are clairvoyant, that I must read their mind. So what you're giving me here is a total opposite to what I know men in most communities that I have had conversations with, where you always go, why would she expect me to read her mind or what?
Well,
So they're not. So if you're saying that women know exactly what they want and communicate it in their circles, and that's different to women say what they want to their partner.
okay, I understand the context you bring it in, and I'm saying it that in that way because if you ask a woman, what do you want in a man, or what do you want in a relationship, she would list out a lot more things
yes.
and be a lot more
right.
specific.
Right.
Versus when you ask someone what we want, we'll be less specific. We will speak more in themes. I want peace. Then when I challenge, what does peace look like? You're not even sure. So if you're not sure, you can't really stand up on it. So, and that's the context I'm coming from, but I understand why you say that.
Going back to what you said with satisfied, and combining that with what you said about, the traumatic experiences. I would say satisfaction also could be in the form of like a feeling. So, like something you feel. So, even in like my own situations or my own experiences, when we were talking about yielding and when you would allow certain things to happen because of trauma and thing. So as long as you get that feeling, whether it be, like we say, you feel alone, right? And you have somebody there to make you feel special, or to make you feel like you have somebody with you no matter what's going on, you will do whatever, you will take whatever, whether that they're treating you bad or whatever the case is. And it could also be your own trauma controlling you, like how you're talking about their trauma and what they went through. And, it could also be your own trauma, whether you grew up always feeling alone, never having somebody there. And now you're with this person. And anytime that person away, you feel like a part of you gone. So no matter what that person how that person treat you, no matter what that person do, as long as they give you that feeling, which in this case, using the example of feeling like somebody there, and that is your version of being satisfied.
You good with that?
You good with that, and it could be different things, but in this case, like it's like feeling like somebody there. And for me, like going back on my personal situation, so like I would have relationships, right, where
You didn't want no?
Nah, I don't want right now, but I will talk about one that wasn't before, like last year, right? So there were times where I would feel like this person maybe could do something better, or I'm not really feeling fully happy, or I'm not really,
unsatisfied.
Yeah, but I'm unsatisfied, but I'm also satisfied at certain times. So like it might have a day where I'm feeling sad or I'm feeling down, and I'm not really feeling satisfied. But if tomorrow, if I feel satisfied, I good with that. It's a way. It's like once you gain it, sometimes it don't matter when you're not getting it. But once you still gain it, sometimes at the end of the day, you're good with that. So like they would treat me certain ways, or I would bring up an issue, and it just would go out the next day, or it would just, whatever the case is. But as long as I still feel like somebody there, it wouldn't matter to me. Like as long as at the end of the day I have somebody to talk to,
I could get
I have
this.
somebody to be with, I have somebody, to accompany me if I want to go here, if I want to, call at the end of the day after a long day, I come home, I have somebody to talk to. I don't care if we argue. I don't care whatever happened. Wow. Once I have somebody there to talk to, I good. And it will have times where I would feel really, really unhappy, or like really bad about the situation, or I feel like I just talking about the same thing over and over and over, and I would stay there for like months. But I stay in there because at the end of the day, again, that feeling of satisfaction that somebody there, because that is a feeling that I would have always wanted to feel. And once I get that from that person, it didn't matter what they did, and it would be a long time that bad things would happen, or I wouldn't be in a situation where I was fully happy. But once I'm happy a little bit, it don't matter when I'm not happy. Once I'm happy a little bit, it don't matter.
So when we come back down to can you be controlled? A lot of it comes from where you are. So the weakness you spoke about, the desire in this case is you don't want to be alone. The weaknesses that you have to address is not the person that you're with, is why do you not feel satisfied or fulfilled with self? And once you're, both persons are coming from a trauma, is it that we're really saying the woman then is controlling you, or is it that you have relented? Because you can't be controlled unless you're allowing it, right? I mean, you could be broken into it, but still bottom line is, even if we go back to the days of slavery, where we spoke about they were broken into submitting, there's still... I mean, that in itself is a real sad topic, because when you really understand how they were broken, it is traumatic even to have that discussion around. But I'm saying outside that, in a free world, let's use the word, in a free world, if you relent to control, you're doing it from your own...
Yeah.
I find you'll be just looking at me like,
And that's why, Jordan, what you're saying...
What is it to agree with?
No, I agree, some of the things that you were saying there in terms of the control. I'm now, when we started this conversation and we started to discuss control, it has taken a new meaning for me. And I think after this break, I'll probably share that. It has taken on a new meaning as to who really is in control.
So we are no more
There's
break
it
here,
here.
but
Yeah.
I like
Sorry.
I like your enthusiasm to go to a break. But
Yeah, we had another break now.
This is where, like you said, in this particular segment, the reason why Johan looked at me and also smiled is because that's what this does. It's almost cathartic. It's a real, within your own thoughts, where you may have started is not how you're going to finish. And our thoughts on can you be controlled, we initially brought up the topic because we thought, there was discussion around, are women really controlling men? How your brethren's only telling you things like how you allowing our woman to control you, and how we allowing women to tell you what to do. We're not man enough. And now, I believe, just from what you just said, having different thoughts and perspectives, we're really asking ourselves, are we really allowing someone to control us, or is it we're coming from a position of trauma? Is it really just a healthy transaction? Is it we are feeling guilty? There's so many areas that we've covered to really answer the question. I'm sure if I went around the room now and asked, are women really controlling you? What would then be your thoughts?
I would say a resounding no. And I will tell you why. It's the desire that we have within ourselves to want to please this woman or appease our own minds, our guilt, our conscience from the trauma we personally went through or have caused ourselves. So when we end up in situations, in marriages or relationships, like Jordan just alluded to, we have this desire for companionship. And that's what he was basically speaking about, We afraid to be alone. Mm-hmm. Don't want to be alone. Mm-hmm. I don't want to come home and it's raining outside and my brethren bust up my ears with things, but them hug up home, and I just here alone. So what Jordan basically said is what I experienced and lived. It's like I'm accepting less than because my desire to be alone, the fear
Mm-hmm.
of being alone outweighs the quality I should be receiving in terms of treatment. So I caused trauma. I hurt you. I said sorry. And I took steps to rectify it. But you know what? You hold on to it for as long as you can, so you treat me less than, you talk to me how you want, and every time you talk to me, I feel bad. So guess what? I have a fear that you would leave, I'd be alone. I have nobody to talk to. So like Jordan said, we take it, and it boils down for me, you want to see, and of course Robert and Jordan, desire is what's the real culprit of control, our internal desire.
I want to hear from Jordan now as we wrap in. But just to touch on that, not only the fear of being alone, but depends on the circumstance. If your woman is the breadwinner, you're also going to lose. So your fear is not only on being alone, but also where you're going to live. You're moving back in with your mother. Where you getting money.
Wow.
How you're paying for the car. All of these different things are different reasons why you don't want to move. And therefore you allow the control because you need to
survive.
I would that's a good point you bring up there as well, because in my journey with my content and stuff, right, the mistake that I made was getting the relationship tangled up with the business and my content and my journey, because there would be times where, let's say, I have to shoot an ad or I have to shoot something for somebody, they would heavily be involved in that. Like, they might accompany me, they might shoot the behind the scenes, or they might shoot the video, they might drop mail, whatever the case is, or they might handle emails. And this I'm telling you from my personal experiences, right? So I would also have in the back of my mind, okay, if they were to leave, who could do all this? Who could do this? Who could do that? Who could handle the emails, handle the calls, help me do this, help me do that? And that would be on my mind a lot. Like, anytime something, we would get into an argument or something, I would always just tell myself, you can't lose them, because this, because they're helping with this, they're tangled up in this. And going back to the point where you said about, if they leave and if they are the breadwinner, then where you gonna live and them kind of thing. It will apply to different scenarios, and in mine, it would be who would help with do all these things. And that is why I would say you have to also put yourself in a position where you don't allow somebody to control you. You don't allow them to control you, because you're not dependent on them. And I feel like being dependent on something allows that thing to control you. So if you're not dependent on anybody to help you with anything, you're not dependent on anybody to give you a certain feeling, then they won't be able to control you. So
It doesn't matter male or female, man or woman. So coming back to the point, are we still saying that women are controlling men?
Nah, I would say nah, because like he touched on with the feeling of, trauma and these things being the thing that controls us. I would say that, like, the feeling and the conscience and another main thing that I would say controls men is status. So wanting to appear higher, wanting to be of a higher status. So, like, a man will work harder to get a Lambo or something, right? Like, you say working hard to get a Lambo, get a nice house. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking to yourself, right, when I get these things, I go and be able to get a nice woman because, I have a nice car and them kind of thing. And at the same time, I could be a higher status than he and he and he. I could be I could be above them because I had these things going on. And that is a main thing that controls us, is status and the feeling of wanting to be higher than somebody else, and trauma as well. So those are three main things that I would say controls us. And definitely after going into the discussion, I came in here heavy with the thought that, like, women are the main thing that control you. But leaving, you open your eyes and you realize that
Desire.
it's not really women that control you, It's more like what you feel about yourself. And I would say that how you feel about yourself and how other people make you feel about yourself is the main thing that control you, woman. Jordan,
perfect segue.
Hey,
Segue into exactly what I was saying, because the crux of everything comes down to low self-esteem. And this is not even a male-female thing. The lower your self-esteem, the easier you are to be controlled, for your head to get teeth, for you to get chin up. If you understand, and I'm saying this because even from a place, the times when I think about in my life where I allowed myself to be controlled, allowed myself, for my head to get teeth, is when I had a low sense of self. When I accept things I don't really want, there's a low sense of self. And I would give a challenge. What helped me, and even me helping clients with raising your self-esteem, is start with something small that you like and only do that. So I just give an example. If you like to eat pilau with 100 pieces of meat in it, right? I just give an example.
And like these food analogies, you're hungry or what?
Right?
Right?
Then only eat that. If you like some, let me be simple. If you like your snow cone prepared a certain way, right? Only do that. Okay, let me bring it. If you like to wear certain shoes, don't wear something less than that. Don't say, well, I just need our shoes quick.
Have a sense of self-worth.
Have a sense of self-worth. Buy that shoes. Even if you have to wait a little while, buy that shoe. I like my hair a specific way. Don't ever leave the house unless it's like that. And that's a small way for us men to start to build self-esteem. So then you build a standard. So therefore now when something else comes into play, I don't want that. So we could go from the food to the shoes to the wherever it is, and then it comes down to relationships, to relationship, even male relationship. I don't want that kind of person around me. That person is not my brethren. And then you go to where there's a girlfriend, a wife, so then you start small. So therefore now, nothing could control you.
I like what you said. I do like that we have to end the show. I desire to talk more, right? But I have to control the show.
Perfect.
No pun intended.
And with that one, can you be controlled? Well, you heard the answer. How we started is certainly not how we finish. This is Manhood. Your Hanse, Jordan, Davey. We'll see you again.
Manhood, brought to you in part by Solomon's Bespoke.